Actually, I think there are probably a lot of people in Hong Kong who have had these kinds of experiences, but it's just that it's so hard to imagine and so difficult to share this with others. Back in 2007, my girlfriend at the time went to stay overnight in Nam Chau, and that caused me a lot of pain, so I started living a life of drinking and all that. I was living a life like a walking corpse, just drinking and eating. So I used exercise as a way to vent my hatred towards that girl. I would work out in the morning, swim in the afternoon, and then work out again at night. Swimming meant doing 100 laps of 50 meters each as a way to vent the hatred in my heart. I hoped that through this, I could make myself feel a bit better. But no matter how many pools I swam or how much I worked out, I just couldn't let it out. At that time, I didn't really care about living anymore. I felt it was so hard and I thought if I died, so be it. On the night of January 15th, 2008, I went to work out as usual. Actually, at that time, my body was really tired, I hadn't had enough sleep, and my stomach was bleeding a lot. I wasn't in good spirits. When I got to the gym, I pressed on anyway, got on the treadmill, and started running at full speed, running as fast as I could. When I was lifting weights, I pushed really heavy, but my chest immediately felt really uncomfortable. As soon as I got to Tin Shui Wai West rail station, all of a sudden, my whole body cramped up. As I was walking, a staff member from the West rail station came over and said to me, "Sir, are you alright?" I replied, I can't get up, something's really wrong. Please call an ambulance for me quickly." Then, all of a sudden, I felt a rush. All the blood seemed to surge to my head, and all the fluids left my hands and feet, locking up in these areas. At that moment, I was really scared. What was happening to me? Then I started to feel really cold. My whole body was overcome by a freezing, icy sensation. At the same time, a deep sense of loneliness and fear enveloped me completely. In that moment, I thought of my family, and I really wanted to see them right then. When I stopped breathing and my heart stopped beating, I looked back on my entire life. As I was reviewing my life, I saw many moments where my grandparents took great care of me. I could feel how much they loved me. But I knew it was already too late, because at the moment when I realized I was about to leave this world, I felt deeply guilty. I also realized that when a person is about to go, what matters most is actually that sense of family love. At that moment, I really wanted to say sorry to my mom and dad. After that, the next scene I expected was complete darkness, but surprisingly, it wasn't. When I suddenly became aware, I could feel my own body, and I could sense that my legs had come out from inside me. At that time, I didn't know if this was my soul. When I left my physical body, I felt like there was no sense of time in my space. And also, I was actually able to sense what all the people at the entire West Rail station were thinking at that moment. All of their consciousness was instantly transmitted to me. I felt like I encountered a very kind and holy voice, and it spoke to me, telling me that I am God. But I am an atheist. I don't believe there is a God in this world. When it said that to me, it was really hard for me to accept and understand, and when it realized that I was having a hard time understanding, it let me know that it was sending me a message. It was the one in charge of everything in the universe, watching over me since I was little, even when I was at my worst. It actually understood my whole life better than anyone. So I immediately pleaded with it, saying, "I don't want to die, please save me." I said, "If I don't die, what should I give you?" At that moment, I couldn't think of what to offer to God. Then it responded to me saying, "You should return to your faith." So of course I promised. I said, "Alright, I promise you if I survive I'll return to my faith." But right after I said that, I suddenly felt a surge of strength and I no longer felt trapped in my body. I had been completely unable to move, but suddenly I was able to stand up on my own. Only then did the rescue team arrive, and all this happened when there were no medical staff or equipment around. Originally, I had stopped breathing and my heart had stopped beating, but to be able to instantly regain my heartbeat and breathing, that was truly a miracle. In the ambulance, I had some questions I wanted to ask the paramedic who was helping me. I asked, "Hey, why did all the blood leave my hands and feet just now? Why did it all rush back to the center of my body?" The paramedic, without even thinking, replied, "Oh, that's what happens before a person dies. The blood gets drawn back to the vital organs in the body, struggling in a last-ditch effort to keep you alive." He answered me so naturally, as if it was the most normal thing. So I had already been staying in Tuen Mun for 4 days. Interestingly, after those 4 days, when I woke up on the second day, it felt like a new beginning in life. Someone once told me that maybe when you experience death, your brain creates an image that makes you see these things. but I can say with absolute certainty, when I stopped breathing, when I closed my eyes, the next moment I was very aware. I was looking at the entire car. I wasn't asleep. I didn't faint. I was completely conscious, looking at the whole West Rail station and everyone there. The scene I saw was actually even more real than what I see in this world right now. It was even more real. It's hard to describe. There's just no way to put into words what it felt like at that moment. All I can say is that it felt even more real. I've had near-death experiences before, and when I came back home, I also saw many people go through the process of dying. I realized that a lot of people, at the moment of death, have their life flash before their eyes. They look back on their whole life, and they become aware of the things they did wrong, feeling a deep sense of regret. They also realize that family is actually the most important thing. In the past, many people might have been preoccupied with work or making money, but when you're facing death, it turns out that what matters most is family and those close bonds. And there was once a case I came across where a doctor, because of a bacterial infection, developed meningitis. The bacteria attacked his brain cells, eroding the cells responsible for images and sounds in his brain. He then went through a near-death experience. Previously, he never believed that people would see all sorts of visions after death. He thought those were just illusions created by the brain. But unexpectedly, after personally experiencing this journey through death, he saw scenes of heaven himself. He even wrote a book about it, which is about his 7-day journey in heaven. After going through this experience, he completely rejected his previous beliefs, realizing that there really is a heaven after death, and that an afterlife truly exists. So I really wanted to find some people who have had near-death experiences. For example, there was an uncle from the neighboring village. He once told me that in the past, while he was driving, he had peritonitis and actually passed out in the car. Then, when he woke up, he told me that he had come back. He said that during the process of being unconscious, he passed through a tunnel. And after going through the tunnel, he arrived at a beautiful garden. When he described it, he was very emotional. He said this garden was more beautiful than any place on earth. So beautiful that it was beyond description. In the garden, there was a person wearing number 8. That person was a foreigner with a beard. Actually, he had a beard. Then this person asked him, "Do you want to stay here or do you want to go back to Earth?" He said he really missed his family and wanted to return to Earth. In an instant, he was back on Earth. When he woke up, he saw the medical staff. He rarely shared this experience with others, but because I shared my near-death experience with him, he decided to share his own near-death experience with me. I've also had something similar happen to me, like when I was traveling. There was a child in our tour group who had also experienced something, an accident. When he went through a near-death experience, he also passed through a tunnel and arrived at a beautiful garden where he saw a figure shrouded in white mist. At that time, he didn't believe in God and had no religious faith. But when he saw this figure in white and red, he somehow knew it was Jesus. Jesus asked him the same question, "Do you want to go back?" Of course, when he said he wanted to return, he immediately woke up in the hospital. It's really amazing. Two people from different places who don't know each other at all, but what happened to them was exactly the same. Actually, if I had a loved one who left this world, and if they belonged to Jesus, I wouldn't be that sad, because I know where they are. I've been through that process myself. I know that the moment they experience death, their true selves will leave their bodies and go to the Father, into the embrace of our Heavenly Father. I know their life there is wonderful, so I really don't worry much. I'm not worried, and even though people say they're very sad after someone passes away, I know that my loved ones still exist. They're just living in another place in heaven, continuing their lives there. So I don't feel extremely sad. After going through this experience, I realized that after people die, it's not as terrifying as I thought. In fact, I'm not afraid of death at all. I'm also not really worried about death anymore. In the past, when I experienced death, I was very scared and anxious, but after going through it once, I'm not worried now. What I fear most, though, is how sad and heartbroken my family would be after I die. For example, I wonder how my wife and the others would cope. Maybe they wouldn't know how to go on with life, and that really worries me. That's actually what I'm afraid of, but as for myself, I'm not afraid of dying.